Kegan Kline has been sentenced to 40 years in prison. I want to go over some of everything, really, from the hearing, but especially some of the key details that might be Delphi related. So 8 of the 11 victims were asked for locations and addresses. They only identified 11 victims, and Kagan appeared to make steps to arrange meetups. Why was he looking for addresses and locations of where these girls were going to be, and did he do anything with that information? One victim stated that Kagan made a video call to her where he was asking for a gangbang. And on this call, there was multiple men in the background. Who were these men? In September 2022, Kagan was being considered for a safekeeping order, much like Richard Allen. That did not happen. Why was that being considered, and why did it not happen? Doug Carter attended. He sat quietly down the back in civilian clothes. He's a busy guy, so interesting that he attended. Why was there a 3-year delay? Kagan's defence team kind of questioned this. If he was such a danger, why did you wait 3 years? Detective Vido confirmed that there was enough for an arrest in 2017, but he said he was only assigned to the case due to coming across the Anthony Shots profile when looking into the Delphi case in 2019. The prosecution was just like, doesn't matter, it's not within statute of limitations, we're here now. But it does remain an unanswered question. Something happened there, someone dropped the ball, we just don't know why. So that's like the 5 key takeaways that I have from yesterday's hearing that might be Delphi related. Going deeper into what happened yesterday, this was not the usual sentencing hearing. It wasn't just victim impact statements. There was witnesses called, 2 for the prosecution and 1 for the defence. A choice was made by the prosecution team to go into some details here. There was a pre-sentencing report of 720 pages. And as a whole, this prosecution team seems incredible. The prosecutors, the probation officers, all of them, this county seems to be on the ball. The first witness called was Christopher Cecil. Detective Cecil is an 8-year veteran of the Indiana State Police, and he's been a detective in the Crimes Against Children unit since August 2010. He does 2,500 cases a year, and he did not get involved here until 2020. He is very impressive, and I have a link to 2 articles here on him. One it's an award that he gets from the National Centre of the Missing and Exploited Children, and the other one is an interview that he is doing on TV. It's about a new tool for parents to report online predators, basically. And they need to get this guy out there more, or more people like him, because it's really beneficial just listening to what he has to say about the work he's doing. He said he looked at 7 devices from Kagan. He said he did not get everything. Kagan deleted and factory restored 1 phone that was hidden in the original search, and this was the device that was used to communicate with Libby. He didn't say that, but we know that. He also said they could not get everything from the Dropbox. Straight away on cross, he was asked about Tony Kline, and he said a few devices had Tony's details on them. Tony, he said, from what he has seen, only really uses Facebook and Craigslist. And just a note, I have a few notes down throughout this. This seems to be consistent with what Tony's friends have said about him, that he can't use tech. Kagan has said this many times in the past. I'm unsure how true this is because Bart, his stepson, has talked about him using PCs in the past. And like, this is at a time when every house doesn't have a laptop or doesn't have a PC. So I'm not sure about that. It would be very convenient for somebody who was up to dodgy stuff on phones and PCs to act like they don't know how to use them. I don't know how many devices they have from Tony to get a kind of baseline to compare, but he is an expert and he knows more than me, so it's important what he says. Witness number 2, Detective Vido, the lead detective on the Kegan Kline case. He was assigned to the case when he came across the Anthony Shots profile when he was working on the Delphi case in 2019. In April 2020, he was the one who contacted Cecil for help. He was promoted only this year by Doug Carter, so I wonder, was he working in a temporary position maybe? He seems to get stuff done, I give him that. He viewed the interview with Tony from the 2017 raid. In this, Tony said that Kegan set up all his phones. Kegan also said in his 2017 interview that Tony does not know how to use social media. He had issues finding Kegan in 2020. This was when Kegan was pretending to be in Vegas, but he found him in his girlfriend's apartment. He said Kegan stated after his arrest that Tony did not know anything about the CP on the phones. When he was taken to jail, Kegan made a comment about him and his girlfriend moving to Thailand. He talked about him admitting to setting up the Anthony Shots profile in the Barbara McDonald interview. He said Tony and Kegan was not a normal father-son relationship. They were more like best friends. There was abuse in the household, however Kegan was the golden child. He talked about the victims identified. They were only able to identify 11 of the victims from all the CP that he had because not all of it had victims' faces in it. It's just difficult to track the people down. And he said that 8 of the 11 of those victims were asked for locations and addresses. So why did that happen? What did Kegan do with this info? Why did he want that info? His defence team pointed out that other than asking for addresses and stuff like that, there's no other evidence that Kegan actually attempted to meet up with them. But it's still very interesting information. They talked about one of the victims, I think just to give an example of how vulnerable these young teens were. So her mother was sick in hospital when Kegan contacted her. She sent pictures to Kegan that were taken in a hospital bathroom. The Emilian account wanted to meet up in a hotel. The Emilian account sent a video of CSAM of a 2-year-old and a man. She was also sent screenshots of pictures that she originally sent the Emilian profile back to her. Screenshots that should not have been saved. I just wonder, was that a kind of threat from Kegan to be like, hey, look, I have these on you. She did not know it was a fake account until she was contacted by Detective Vido. He told us about a text exchange between Kegan and his girlfriend at the time when he was arrested, where he was saying he had a dream about her when she was 12 and it really turned him on. Told us about a phone call from jail with his girlfriend after his arrest. In this, she states she found a fake account where he was talking to 12-year-olds and he was sending pictures that were not of him. And this was all kind of given into evidence because it just shows that Kegan didn't stop. He didn't stop between 2017 and 2020. He didn't stop even after he was arrested. We also learned about that victim that Kegan was asking for a gangbang with. She said that Kegan made a video call to her and there was other men in the background. We don't know if this call is real. I don't know if her memory is real. I don't think Kegan can edit videos like this. He probably can edit photos because he's only using his phone, really. He might be able to, but I would be surprised if Kegan is editing videos like that. If it's real, who are these men? The defence called one witness basically just to get in how much money Kegan was saved to court by pleading guilty. It was Officer Dave Vitek from the Sheriff's Office, and he's the one kind of in charge of making sure nothing happens during any of these hearings. Kegan is a bit difficult because there's so much media kind of turns up when Kegan shows up. He was called by the defence and he said it costs an extra $2,000 to $2,500 every time Kegan is in court. And the defence was like, wow, we're saving so much money. Kegan is so good. And that's all they wanted to get in from him, really. But Kevin from the murder sheet picked up and reported on a very interesting detail that I think happened when Dave was on the stand. He was talking about security and organising things and stuff like that. And he was the one that mentioned that Kegan was in the middle of a possible move because of a safekeeping order in September 2022. Kegan got a slap on the wrist because he used another inmate's device to send out text messages. His own device was taken off him because if you're in the middle of, or if one of these moves seems likely to happen, they take the inmate's device so they don't communicate with someone and say, oh, I'm moving here or I'm moving there, because that kind of goes against the whole safekeeping order. But main question is, why was Kegan being considered for the safekeeping order in September 2022 and why did it not happen? Next, we had the probation officer, Cathy Knight, and she seems incredible. They have such a tough job and they really can make themselves a target by just doing their job right. And she just completely exposed Kegan. She said he was angry that no girl would contact his real dating profile. He was dependent on his father. He was lonely. He had some trauma, but he knew it was wrong and he did it because it made him feel wanted. She said he's a liar. He said he stopped looking at CSAM in 2017. However, he did not because additional CSAM was found on Kegan's 2020 device. She said he also said he has shown his father CP while they were sitting on the couch in the living room. She also talked about Tony being violent but his best friend. She said Kegan had no accountability. He's constantly blaming Tony. She said he blamed the female sergeant for him deleting apps on that device that he hid in the original search. We talked about that before. But she basically just runs through Kegan and pulls out all the red flags and highlights them. She talked about his prison texts. She didn't mention the Delphi case here, I just put this in. But before basically the Anthony Shots profile was linked to the Delphi case, Kegan was texting his mother and got her to pass on details of women that he told her were his friends. She knew nothing about it. She was oblivious. He was just manipulating her basically. He was trying to text with them. They were all adults, but she was just pointing out this just shows that he didn't change anywhere. After the Anthony Shots profile is linked to Delphi, Kegan talked about that before as well, had women contacting him looking for info, and he used the Delphi case and people's need for info to get some stimulation off them. He was making them show skin on prison calls or tell them about fantasies or put $20 on his account. She said he has no remorse, he is a problem and has a high risk of reoffending. She said the pre-sentencing report, which recommended 36 years plus 3 years probation, is conservative. And the judge added on another 4 years, so they seem to agree. I don't have it in here, but Kegan's defence team was looking for about 16 years, I think. And even at that, they were like, we still need to watch him when he gets out. Kegan himself made a statement. He said he was in a deep depression when it started. He said he was a loner who depended on Tony. He said he was essayed by a cousin from the age of 9 to 13. Don't know if this is true. We all know that Kegan is a liar. He was bawling throughout this, crying very hard. He said he wasn't saying any of this as an excuse, and then went on to give more excuses. He wished he moved out. He wished he dealt with his trauma. He wanted to be wanted. And he said sorry to the victims and to Vincent, the real Anthony Shots profile. But he ended by saying sorry to his family. So that's it. That's everything, basically. Kegan has said when he gets to prison after he's sentenced that he's going to write to Anya and Kevin and tell them all about Delphi. So we wait and see. Let me know what you think. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found any value in it. I'm not going to link the presentation down below because YouTube doesn't like me sending people off the platform, it seems. So I'm going to link that presentation on the members tab. It's only 99 cents a month if you want to go and have a look at that. Good luck, God bless. I hope everyone has a nice day.